Alright, so this will be an interesting experiment. There is an old quote, quid est veritas. What is truth? Well, we have conventional truths, negotiated truths, mathematics postulates objectivity of a certain language that demonstrates truths. Yet, going into metaphysics, because that is my purpose, is that truths are self-manifested, self-contained powers in the purest degree of their rectification. So, mortals may have their doxas, just like in the Parmenidean visit to the goddess Nyx, and their conventional realities. However, there are certain named powers, forces, like the force of destruction. This is within the semiotic semantics of human language, the development of such concepts. And they are a form of mapping of real physical forces, real powers, and ontologically objective forces or deities if we decide to metaphysicize it a bit. So what I wanted to prove here is the evolution of such ideas, pure ideas and forces. And in this case, I took an example of evolution of beauty. Whether this is the first feeling of awe as the primordial beauty, whether it is the heroic beauty of combat, battle, strife, love, hate, whether it is beauty encaptured in ancient architectures, in the ziggurats and the temples of Greeks or Romans or Hindus, whether it is the spiritual beauty of the great attainments of yogins, the priests of Eleusis, the theurgists of Neoplatonic schools, and so on. So, given the contrast between the modern day, where beauty is commodified and turned into a post-factual, post-capitalist thing to consume and advertise, it is far away from the true idea of this power. It is a surrogate, replaced with a lie, replaced with a surrogate, like a matryoshka packed in lies and surrogates. Does it mean that we cannot feel beauty anymore? No, it means that it is rather rare because we are not taught to understand beauty, to feel the living force of beauty, or of love, or of hate, or destruction, or integration, or disintegration or decay. We are not taught to feel true forces and powers because we forget how to catalyze them. What we live is a facade, the Plato's cave, and as we descend it further into the Plato's catacombs, far away from the divine streams of rejuvenating forces and powers. So in this case, the truth coefficient goes up. This is in a case where there will be no disturbance in entropy over the ages. Now let's introduce a catastrophic entropy here with large amounts of disturbance. As we see, the disturbance factor is causing the beauty, which is symbolized by the violet line on the graph, goes immediately in the negative values over the years in successful iterations that are randomized but tied by certain variables that have their own rules. So this is the surrogating extent. So how far the truth was replaced with surrogates and lies. And this is the time in years. Let's say it's 100 years, maybe 2,000, 4,000, 8,000 years since onset of civilization of humans. Alright, now what happens when we get lies coefficient larger and truth coefficients minimal? As we see, everything goes down, so the surrogating extent is completely replacing truth. It goes all into the negative. If we equate those, it is giving us a small scale probe. So there is disturbance and entropy at their highest. There are certain entropical catastrophes at the 10 value. So we can see the sudden rises and sudden collapses, negentropy, like in biological idea of organization. And when we analyze it, we may see that it is still trying to go up and down, but it is not really different. It's just the disturbance value is minimal 1. That's why it's showing the difference. So we can increase truth, let's say by 1, and the disturbance by 3 and 8. Then it still goes up. And if we go 1.5 and 1, there are changes, so truth may collapse, but then it rises profoundly and it takes on newer forms, ideas, realizations, the history of intellectual beauty, the intellectual history of ideas that resurfaces many splendid and ingenious thought. So I just wanted to portray that despite the, let's say, layering of matryoshka-like replacement and commodification, capitalization of beauty, it still sometimes arises in young hearts and guides people. Yet it is very rare to feel the force itself, the Aphrodisian force. That is an ontological separateness penetrating the world. Separate meaning it stands on its own without human intervention, without human understanding of it. There are many powers and forces out there in the universe. I do assure you, they don't need humans, but humans may sometimes let them through. Thank you.